Hey there, scholars. We're going to practice solving equations here. So here we have an equation here, x minus 7 equals 5. So the first thing we're going to do is we might be able to do this on our head, actually. We might be able to figure out that x minus 7 equals 5. What would a number that, if you subtracted off 7, it would be 5? We might be able to figure out that that's 12, like 12 minus 7 is going to be 5. So that's something we can just remember. But we can also solve it by using the rules for solving equations, which is if I have a minus 7 over here, I want to add 7 to both sides of the equation so that I can create a 0 pair over here. Minus 7 plus 7 adds up to 0. So then I just have x on the left and I have 12 on the right. So there's my answer, x equals 12. And that's the same thing that I figured out. And we can check that number, 12 minus 7 equals 5. There we go. Let's do the second one. 2x minus 5 equals 15. Now, this is a two-step equation, so we're going to have to do two separate things. First of all, we're going to recognize that there are two terms over here and one term over here. Terms are things that are separated by a plus or minus sign. So we're going to first move this term over here because it doesn't have the variable in it. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. We're going to add 5 to both sides, and that's going to give us negative 5 plus 5 adds up to 0. So we're just going to have 2x on the left, and we're going to have 20 on the right. And now we're going to divide by 2 on both sides. And the reason is because 2 multiplies by x, so 2 times x is 20. Well, 1 times x is going to be 10, right? But we're going to do the math way to do it. So we're going to divide by 2 on both sides. This 2 cancels out that 2 because 2 halves is equal to 1. So then we have x equals 20 divided by 2, which is 10. All right. So far, so good. Let's keep going. Now we're going to do one that's got a distribution in it, right? So there are actually two ways we could do this. We could, maybe I'll just do both ways and you can choose which way you like better. So one way is we could multiply the 2 by the x and multiply the 2 by the negative 3. So we have 2x minus 6 equals 18. Right, so we're distributing that through. Then we can do what we did before, which is add 6 to both sides. I mean, this is the same thing we did in the previous problem, but with 5 over there. So then we're going to end up with 2x plus 0 equals, what is that? 18 plus 6, that's 24. So we're going to divide by 2 on both sides. And that's going to give us x equals 12. All right. And if we check our work, we can find that 12 minus 3 is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. Now, I'm going to show a different way to do this same problem in case you prefer to do it like this. I'm going to rewrite it so that you can see it again here. 2 times x minus 3 equals 18. So you can also just treat this thing, the x minus 3 in here, you can treat that like a factor. You can treat it like just one thing. So it's 2 times this thing equals 18. So we can actually just divide by 2 on both sides right now. That 2 and that 2 go away because that's equal to 1. So then we just have x minus 3 is equal to 18 divided by 2, which is 9. So then we have x, well, sorry. Now what are we going to do? We're going to add 3 on both sides so we can make that add up to 0. We're going to add 3 on both sides. So then minus 3 plus 3 adds up to 0. Now I have x equals 9 plus 3, which is 12. There's two different ways to solve this one. You don't have to do both. You can just do one or the other. And they both work. They both give us the same answer. Okay, next thing. A equals x over b. We're trying to solve for x here. So what we want to do is get rid of this b down here and move it over to the other side. And the way we do that is by multiplying by b on both sides. So we're going to, and then we can cancel out that b because it's b over b, which is 1. So we have ab equals x, or if we want to write it the other way around, we can. X equals AB. So we've just stated what X is in terms of those other variables. All right. Now we have a little bit different situation where we have the variable in the denominator. The very first step, though, we need to get the variable out of the denominator. I mean, the variable that we're trying to solve for. We need to get that out of the denominator first, and then we're going to have another step that we have to do. So we're going to multiply x on both sides so that we can cancel out. Let me use a different color here so that we can cancel out this x, right, on both top and bottom. And then we have cx equals d. Now, we want to keep that x by itself. We can just divide by c on both sides. Right? And we can cancel out the c there because it's c over c. Now we have x equals d over c. And that's our answer to that one. Okay, now the final one here is a similar one, but this time it just has numbers instead of letters. So we're going to multiply x on both sides. 8x equals 5 over x times x. I'm going to use a different color here to cancel this out if I can. There we go. So we have our x cancels out because that's x over x. And then we have 8x on the left equals 5. Now we're going to divide by 8 on both sides. And x equals, oh, sorry, I forgot to cancel out the 8s there. That 8 cancels out. So we have x equals 5/8. 5/8. That's hard to pronounce. Okay. All right, guys, have a great time checking over your work, and I'll see you in a bit.